This is our game of Downfall by Caroline Hobbs that we're playing with the Gauntlet community. And so this is a first time, got the physical book and everything right there for us. Excellent. It's a first time for all of us playing this game, but I think we're gonna have fun here. Why don't we go around and just have everyone quickly introduce yourselves so that we all know each other here. So I'm facilitating this game, although it's a GM-less kind of game. I'm Stentor Danielson, they, them pronouns. Been running games on the Gauntlet for about a year now. So, Christina?
I'm Kirk. Oh, okay. Go for it.
Kirk, go ahead.
I'm Kirk, he, him pronouns, and I kickstart a bunch of games and never get to play them, so I'm excited to get to play Downfall.
All right, excellent.
I'm Christina, she, her pronouns. I'm pretty new to Gauntlet, but I've played a lot of D&D, and I'm curious to explore other story game type formats. Okay. So Downfall is exciting to me for that reason.
Yeah, this will be kind of literally the opposite of D&D mechanics-wise, I think.
I'm really excited about that, not gonna lie.
Yeah, you get a good sense of the breadth of the types of RPGs that are out there. Okay, so for this game, we've got a few lines and veils that we've agreed on beforehand. We have a line against sexual violence or coercion, so that will not be part of our story at all. We have veils on explicit sex and dismemberment, so those can be part of the story, but they will happen off screen or will fade to black on them. And feel free to add things to that list at any point if something else occurs to you. And you might want to pop something in the chat here as well, just to make sure that we all notice that something has been added to the list. Since we're not, we don't have any dice to roll in this game, we're not using Roll for Your Party or anything like that, so we don't have a mechanical X card thing. But if anything comes up that you want to call an X card on, you want us to, take that element out of the story and go back, come up with a different idea, you can just say X card or make an X with your hands on the screen, and we'll do that. Okay, so the premise of this game is that we have a society that's referred to as the Haven, and the Haven is built around some sort of idea or principle that is central to it, but is also its fatal flaw. And we are going to be playing out the downfall of the Haven as this flaw comes to corrupt everything in the society. And to do that, we have three focus characters that we're going to be following through the game. We have the hero, who is trying ultimately unsuccessfully to save the Haven. We have the fallen, who is trying to encourage the spread of the flaw, and the pillar, who represents the status quo within the society. And we're actually going to be rotating these roles around between us. So we'll all get to play the hero at some point. We'll all get to play the fallen. We'll all get to play the pillar. And then we'll all also be able to jump in and play any additional NPCs as needed throughout this. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create our haven. We need to, this game has no built-in setting. It is wide open what kind of a setting story we're in. It could be, futuristic, it could be historical, it could be fantastical, it could be weird stuff that could never exist. It can be whatever we feel like doing. And the first thing that we have to do with setting up is decide on the flaw that's at the core of our haven. So this is something we just kind of negotiate, talk about until we come up with an idea that we all think would be cool to explore. And so there are some example flaws suggested in the book, so I'll just read through these. This is, we don't have to pick one of these. We can pick anything that we want that we think would be an interesting fatal flaw for our society. But some of the suggested ones are ambition, classism, cowardice, distrust, greed, jealousy, loyalty, materialism, nationalism, perfectionism, pride, racism, selfishness, sexism, or vanity. So does anybody have any ideas what would be an interesting fatal flaw for our society and for us to explore in our game?
I think I kind of like the idea of homogeneity or sameness as a flaw.
Okay.
Conformity, maybe, if that's an easier way to put it.
Monoculture.
Yeah.
Monoculture. Okay.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, I can go for that.
It's very
Okay.
The Giver-esque, but that's kind of where I'm taking it from.
Okay. Cool. Well, let's go with that. So our flaw is conformity. Okay. So then the next thing is to describe what our setting is like. And the way that we're going to do that is that we are each going to pick out an element that we would like to be included in some way in what our setting is like. And there is a list of suggested ones here that I'm going to paste into the chat for everyone to look at. So this is the list that comes from the book. But if there's something else that occurs to you, then feel free to come up with that. And the way that this works is that we each pick one element that we want included, and we all kind of reveal them simultaneously. So I'll have everybody type it into the chat box there. We'll all hit enter at the same time, so that we're each contributing something. Then we have to look at this, motley group of elements and think about what kind of a scenario, what kind of a setting, location, whatever would incorporate those three things into it. So if you want to take a minute and look at that list of suggested elements, pick one you think is cool. I guess if two of us pick the same thing, then we'll have to pick one more. But
how do we enter comments into this?
Oh, you should be able to. Hang on.
So I have a chat box for private chat, but not for live comments. So it seems like I could type things for private chat, but I don't entirely know what the difference there is.
Okay. Let me see.
Yeah, I sent a message that said testing into the private chat, but I don't have a similar free text response box for the live comments part.
Yeah.
Okay. Then let's just do it in the private chat then.
Okay.
I didn't realize there were two separate things there.
Yeah, when you posted the link to the keeper, you were like, it's in the comments. And it's like, oh, it's in the other comments I don't have selected.
Right.
Oh, that's cool. You can show it. I love it.
Oh.
Okay.
You may only have access to posting there if you already have a sign-in. As I don't have sign-in because I haven't used StreamYard before today.
Okay. Well,
yeah,
we'll use the private chat here, and we'll just tell everybody listening what we've got. Okay. So then I just reposted the list of things there too, so that we don't have to flip back and forth. So if everybody picks one thing that speaks to them.
I've got my choice.
Okay. Got it.
Okay. All right, I've got mine. So on 3, everybody send your thing to the chat. 1, 2, 3. Okay. So we got fire, swarm, and rain. So let's just talk about what kind of a place, what kind of a setting would have fire, swarm, and rain as elements.
Setting around conformity.
Yeah, so conformity is our society's fatal flaw.
So I picked Swarm because I was thinking of things like iPhone release days or other days when everyone comes together and buys the same product all at once and congregates around this experience of sameness.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I picked rain because I think rain has a lot of powerful symbolism around renewal, and I'd be curious, and usually that's a positive thing in cultural discourse, but in this, I'm curious to see how that can be perverted or turned on its head in a game that's, where we're trying to, achieve conformity.
Right. Yeah. So what's kind of coming to my mind is a place where we have like an environment that cycles between rain and fire. Like I get like a rainy season and all kinds of stuff grows, and then it turns dry and it all burns.
Like the season montage from Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Yeah, yeah. And so then we might have to swarm from one place to another if we're constantly like if there's destructive fires, and so we have to all go to the safe place. But then there's floods, and we all have to go to the safe place.
What if this destruction is something that like the society prizes and sort of idolizes? It's like a ritual,
That's the next part, right?
Oh, is it? I'm sorry.
Well, we'll define some specific traditions that our society has that might express some of those very ideas.
Okay.
But okay, yeah, why don't we kind of move into that, and I think that'll help us clarify some of the stuff that we're talking about here. Okay, so
you want to put describing the city or whatever on hold for a moment?
Yeah, unless people have some more ideas that we want to bring in, I think it might be cool to have a slightly nomadic kind of thing if we've got these violent environmental elements. But
I was thinking migratory.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the idea is that there are two seasons and the seasons are fire and rain, then maybe there's a migratory element to it, like the way that retirees go to Florida in the wintertime. Like if the easy way for society to get by during the times of inclement weather is to move the entire society all together in the same motion to the temporarily more climate place, then that creates a society where everyone's surviving, and the conformity is something that benefits everyone, because it means they don't have to fight these extreme weather conditions. But it also creates a society where if you don't have the capacity of movement as much, then you're going to be left behind, and you will have to fight these bad weather conditions when no one else is around to help you.
I can go for that. Christina, what do you think?
Sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right, so to create our traditions, I've posted another list in the chat there. We're each going to pick one of these categories, and we're going to create some sort of a cultural tradition related to that category. So, if you pick the architecture category, what is some distinctive piece of architecture that's associated with our society? If you pick death, like what's some sort of ritual associated with death or something like that in our society. So you'll define it in like a sentence, and we each do one. We each pick a different category to create a tradition in, and so go ahead and tell us all about it if you've got an idea, and then I've got a spot in the character keeper there that you can jot down the category and your description of your tradition.
Are we doing that same 3, 2, 1 reveal in the chat, or are we just?
Oh no, sorry. Yeah, it's just as soon as you have a good idea, just tell us and put it in the character keeper.
So going back to my earlier comment on sort of society craving the cleansing of the seasons, I think that might fit best in the religion category of the tradition.
Okay.
And I'm thinking that this is, maybe this society devotes, scholarly pursuits to the study of the seasons. These aren't random things. They can, they're timed and tracked. And when, within these destruction events happen. It's, there's a ritualistic process around the migration from place to place, and the building back up of whatever they need to establish their presence in their new location where they migrate to, and there's sort of like a celebration of the destruction of the old place that they come from, something like that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. So just if you can summarize that in a sentence or so.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, I think too much.
Oh, that's okay. That's totally cool.
Yeah.
Just give us something so that when we see that, we're like, oh yeah, I remember that thing that you were telling us about.
Celebration and rituals around the migration, and destruction due to elements. There we go.
Okay. So I have an idea under the government category. So my thought is that we select a new leader after every season. So there's nobody that's like a permanent government figure, because that ties into the whole like renewal thing. And it's also based on the idea that, if we're all the same, then everyone should be equally able to fulfill the government role. If we've all, have the same values and live the same way and so forth, no one person is going to be better than any other. And so no person deserves to be, the leader for always. So we rotate it to a new person after every season.
I like that.
Should we place on the character keeper to put the elements?
Oh, yeah. I'll jot those down.
Thank you. So I was thinking, for my traditions, I'd go with food, as we're verging on pumpkin spice season now. The idea being that when there's the climate switch after the migration, everyone's food intake is entirely changed, and you just don't get the things that you used to be able to get during rain, if you're eating during fire. So like you can't get the pumpkin spice in the spring the same way that you can't get what's a good spring food? There's gonna be good spring foods, right? Maybe something like like sakura flavored things. Like you're not going to get sakura flavored things in November.
That's better than I was thinking. The like St. Patrick's Day shakes at McDonald's.
I was thinking literally, and I was thinking spring rolls, which have nothing to do with seasons.
No, those were. You usually get those all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we've got. These are our first three traditions, and so then to kind of make the tradition more concrete, we're going to add a symbol for each tradition. And so the way that the book describes it, it says symbols can be objects, tools, icons, locations, emblems, people, etc. For example, a white flag is emblematic of surrender, rings represent marriage, the office of the president is a symbol of executive power, etc. Symbols can be general, for example, trees, or specific, for example, the elder tree in capital letters. So we're each going to add a symbol to someone else's tradition. And so it says that, if you're playing this face to face, you'd pass the card you wrote your tradition on to the left for this one. Based on my screen, that would mean that Christina will create a symbol for my tradition about the new leader being chosen. Kirk would create a symbol for Christina's tradition about the rituals around the migration and destruction. And then I will create a symbol around Kirk's idea of the seasonal food. So think of something, an object, a person, an institution, a icon, something concrete that symbolizes that tradition.
I'm thinking for government, the first thing that comes to mind is a spoked wagon wheel. Each person gets their turn, if you will, and no one spoke is really distinguishable from the other. So
I like that a lot. That's cool.
Spoked wagon wheel. Yeah.
For the food, I'm thinking it might be something as simple as we have 2 sets of dishes that we have, like maybe a pointy kind of dish that we serve fire season food in, and a rounded one for rain season food. Apologies, I'm getting over a cough here.
Oh,
I'll try to put my microphone out of the way when I cough.
That means in the fire season, if you have pizza, like all the in between parts just like droop through.
Yeah,
it's very literal.
Well, you gotta make pointy pizza during the fire season.
Oh, it's nothing but crust. It's not satisfying. Okay. The religious symbol is braziers of the other season, because the purpose of the religion is to remind you of what's not there, not what is there.
Okay.
Ooh, I like that.
So in the rainy season, there's braziers of fire, and in the fire season, there's braziers that have pools of water in them.
Okay, that's cool. All right, so then we each now create a second tradition, kind of the same way that we did before, and then this time you'll pass the other way, so the other person will create the symbol for your tradition.
So first thing we do is new tradition, right? Or new what do you call it? Yeah, new tradition, then new symbol.
Yeah, thank you. We're just repeating the same step.
Great.
So I'm thinking.
You got one?
Yeah, so I'm thinking to going with the birth category. That children aren't given a name until they're a certain age. Let's say 12.
All right, I've got a doozy in mind.
All right.
I'm going to go with love, and my idea is that romantic relationships are entirely seasonal, including marriages.
Okay.
Okay. Are romantic relationships in the society intended to be monogamous during their seasonality?
Yes. I mean,
Okay.
by default, yes. And so I shouldn't say by default, yes, because I feel like since this is conformity, like they just wouldn't tolerate other things. So yes, romantic
Okay.
relationships
Yeah.
are seasonally monogamous.
Okay. I like that. Yeah, because it's like, you can't hold out till the next season to move on to somebody new, really. Like I can see them having that attitude.
But I mean, you come back like next fire, you still go back to your fire wife.
Oh gosh, fire white and salt wife.
Uh-huh.
I was thinking something around naming prior to Stunter, saying something about
Okay.
birth. But I'm not
If you
sure
have
how.
if you have a better naming tradition, I can
Not
come up with
really,
something
no.
for mine.
Yeah, not really. I'm probably just going to go with my backup concept, which is fashion. I feel like there is an outward expression of sameness and conformity. So, everyone kind of wears shapeless tunics or something like that.
Okay.
There's a uniform of the society. And there's very little differentiation between, military or station or government officials. Everyone just wears the same thing. So
Okay.
I'll write that.
Okay. Yeah, and so now we rotate the other way to create symbols. So Christina will create a symbol for mine about children not being named until 12. I'll create one for Kirk's about seasonal monogamy, and then Kirk will create one for Christina's about fashion. Trying to think of something that doesn't fall into the like wedding ring type of thing, because that seems too obvious to make it some version of that. Okay. I have my idea of a symbol for the seasonal monogamy, which is wedding bread. So there's different recipes for the two different seasons, but there's a type of bread that you make and you eat together when you start your seasonal relationship, and the recipe is such that it keeps for about a season before it becomes inedible. And so the fact so you eat most of it at your kind of seasonal wedding, but then you keep a piece of it, and when that has gone bad, that's an indication that your relationship is over, and it's time to move on, because that'll happen about the start of the next season.
Oh, so did you redefine it so that the relationship doesn't carry on when the seasons come back around again?
Well, it could, but
Okay.
my thought is that if you reunited with the same person, you'd like bake new bread together to symbolize that you're coming back together.
Okay. So the idea that I went with was the logo for the only clothing store, which is a smiling sheep. So all clothing has that logo.
Pretty on the nose there. Yeah.
Sorry if it was too on the nose.
Oh no, that's fine.
I like
That's
it.
fine.
I like it.
I like the
In
idea
a
of
short game, sometimes you have to just go with things that are on the nose.
I was gonna go with another wagon wheel type concept for this naming in 12 thing, but I'm thinking of if you've ever played older versions of Trivial Pursuit where they have those question wedges, and every time you answer, you get a different colored piece and fill up your little cheese wheel. I'm thinking that there's a similar like type construct of this 12 slotted cheese wheel, for lack of a better word. And at each birthday, the child gets a cheese wedge with a letter that eventually from which they construct their name at age 12. So it's kind of like bananagrams, but like you get a tile every year or something like that. And yeah, I don't know about like involvement or like actually like good names, but
I love it.
Yeah.
So that means all of us have to have names that are like that.
They're 12 letters long. I love it.
So I don't necessarily think they need to be 12 letters long, but I think that you can only spell them from you can't have 13 unique letters in your name. I don't know. Maybe you could be 12 letters long. If you can hold it, that would be fun.
That would be good for conformity because then everybody's name is the exact same length.
Okay.
It's awkward, right? When you have a database of names and some names are like really long and they spill out of the cell on your spreadsheet, but other ones are like 4 letters long, and
Yeah, absolutely. From a data management perspective, that's awful. Great. Yes, I like this. So, how do I summarize that? Name.
Cheese wedge name.
Yeah, that's what we're going with.
Okay, and then the last thing that we need for our haven is a name to refer to it by. So what do we call our community?
I feel like we've got a lot of actions that our community does, but maybe not that much aesthetic, right? And action's probably better for the purposes of role playing, but aesthetic is better for the purposes of naming, right?
All right.
I feel like the one thing that permeates all of this is the migratory aspect of it. So the caravan or something like that, or we could go like super like merry band of X, like merry band of singing elves. I don't know if we really want to go in that narrative direction, but
I like the caravan.
Okay, is that what you guys had in mind? I was thinking of something more permanent than something nomadic. I was thinking of like the idea of having a summer house, not the idea of like taking your camper south.
Okay.
Sure,
because like if we're going for concepts that could have good flaws, having a summer house means that once things start to crumble, maybe some people can't manage to migrate anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Great. Yeah, we can go for something else.
So I don't mean to crap on your offer, but
oh, no problem.
Yeah. Well, and we could still have a caravan. That's how we get between the places too.
Okay,
but not be as a central idea of the society.
Have semi-permanent locations that we're going to, but we have kind of a caravan to travel back and forth.
Okay, sure. So we can go with the caravan then.
We can, as a name though, we can figure something else out.
I kind of like the idea of the caravan in terms of conformity, though, because the whole idea of circling the wagons is that like the whole rest of the world is hostile except for everybody that looks exactly like us with like exactly our wagons, right?
Yeah.
True.
Sure.
Okay. Well, let's go with that. The caravan. Okay. So now we want to create our 3 central characters. So we're going to start with the hero. So the hero is trying to save the caravan from its impending destruction, even though we know that they will ultimately fail at that. And so we have 3 things that we want to decide about the hero. So first, their occupation. So it says choose a tradition and give the hero a position or role in the haven that relates to it. Then we'll pick their rebellion. It says choose a tradition that the hero disagrees with and explain why they oppose it. And then last, their identity. Describe the hero. What does the hero look like? What's their name, etc. So there's some tradition that they have a position or role related to that's their occupation, and there's one tradition that they're rebelling against in some way. And then we'll flesh out the rest of their identity from that.
So when we think about their occupation, this should also be something that informs how they're going to affect change in society, right?
Right. Yeah. Because what occupation they're in is going to affect where they can try to make some sort of change.
So I guess the thing that stands out to me is food, but that's picking one of mine.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was thinking about the food too. That maybe they're the person that makes the dishes.
Mm-hmm. Maybe they're like a celebrity chef. So they have a following in terms of like influencing where the dishes are going, and if they wanted to push the conformity of the food, or possibly like negate some of the negatives of the conformity of the food, then that would be something within their power. And when you've got an in with food, you've got an in with a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, does that sound good to you, Christina?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. So their occupation is chef, and then which tradition are they rebelling against? So Kirk and I kind of latched onto that food thing. So maybe Christina, if you want to pick the tradition they're rebelling against.
I was actually thinking of the birth tradition.
Okay.
And or I guess the birth/naming tradition. Maybe their career. Maybe they've always had a name like for themselves.
Okay.
And it's not 12 letters long. It's kind of flashy, but they want to use it professionally or something like that. I don't necessarily my idea is that they have a name that they prefer over their given name, but like using a nickname or anything other than your paper name is frowned upon. So
okay, I like that.
Yeah, that's pretty central to identity. So
okay, yeah. So maybe we should start by thinking about what is this other name that our hero has, and what's their official 12-letter name.
I think I'm going to regret that particular stipulation.
I mean, if we want, we could retcon that and say it's like every 2 years they get a cheese wedge, so they have a 6-letter name. If that'll make it easier for us to name characters here.
That sounds easier to me.
Okay, let's just do that because that'll make it easier for us to come up with names.
Okay.
So now's the part where we'll look at name generators, right?
I guess we also have to kind of decide the flavor of these names. Like, are these going to be things that sound similar to English names, or are they going to be like fantasy kind of names? Or
Yeah, we didn't do anything about the aesthetic of the culture. Like, like we don't even have an idea of the technology level or anything, right?
Right. Yeah, so maybe we should decide that as well. That'll help us figure out our hero. So I've been envisioning all along kind of a you know, at most kind of medieval technological level, but that was just my mental images. So if people feel like this would be more interesting and more high tech society or something, that is cool. We at least have the wheel because we have a wheel as a symbol. But
I've been thinking high tech since we're going with the theme of conformity, and conformity and high tech seems like in medieval senses, conformity is almost accidental.
uh-huh. Okay.
But in high tech, conformity is like culturally more meaningful because you have all these other options, and yet you still choose vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that kind of matches with the celebrity chef angle. I'm having trouble like envisioning a medieval celebrity chef.
Okay, that's cool with me. All right, yeah, so we're a high tech kind of society then.
Medieval celebrity chef recommends not drinking water that is rotten.
Yeah.
Medieval celebrity chef knows how to cook meat to temperature so no one gets food poisoning.
It's too much power. He's a hero, he's not the savior. So, do you want future names then?
Yeah, futuristic names are good. And if nobody has any strong feelings about it, I'm just gonna roll a die here to pick some pronouns for our hero.
Sure.
So
that sounds good.
1 or 2 he him, 3 4 is she her, 5 6 is they them, and I got a 3. So our hero is she her.
So I pulled up fantasy name generators, and I've been looking for 6-letter names that are fantasy based.
So I'm just looking on Mom Junction because I obsess over baby names, having named at least one child in my life. There's Marina. There's Eudora, Eudora.
That's pretty futuristic.
Yeah, Eudora.
Yeah, I like Eudora.
Sure.
Okay. Apparently, Eudora is one of the Hyades in Greek mythology.
Okay.
Means generous gift.
Okay, so that's our hero's like public official 6-letter name.
Yeah.
So, and they also have their secret name that represents their true identity.
I'm happy with you to pick the secret name since I pounced on the paper name.
So what's the idea behind the secret name then? Because if it's a symbol of their rebellion, then it should have like an ideological significance. Like maybe their secret name is something that's less that's not picked by the pie, but like is picked by them in a way that represents them in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's related to who they see themselves as or who they wish they saw themselves as or something like that. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's like chosen names for people that transition versus like mom picks names.
Right.
For people that see a baby and is like, yeah, I guess that's what it's called.
Right. Well, maybe we should kind of flesh out a little more about the hero's personality and stuff, and maybe that will inspire a
naming
secret name. Because we termed there a celebrity chef. Are we thinking young, old? I kind of like the idea that she's older, and like, has been around long enough to see the flaw creeping up, and therefore feel like there's a need to do something about it.
Right, import.
Got it. I like it.
Okay. Maybe even like on the cusp of retiring from being a chef. And so they're kind of realizing that they're coming towards the end of things, and if they want to fix stuff, it's kind of now or never.
Putting some Logan's Run into this.
I'm not familiar with that, but
okay. So what do you think the name is supposed to represent then?
Because we'd also said this is like a name that she's had since she was younger, right?
I don't remember
or
saying
is
that.
this something
It's fine
that
if you
has
want it to be.
come up more recently?
Maybe it's just something she's been holding on to for a while, and
Mm-hmm.
like a secret longing doesn't necessarily have to have its origin in childhood.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like a tattoo that you carry in your wallet before you decide to commit to it.
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
Should it be representative of, so like, this is tough because it's loaded, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we should pick a different rebellion then.
No, I like this rebellion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just it puts a lot of weight on the choice of name, so we're
Yeah.
all hesitating to lock
something
that
else in.
down. Yeah, but well, so how about this line of thought? We've said that we're a kind of a high-tech society, and you had the analogy of people lining up for their iPhones and stuff for the swarm element. And so in a way, technology can create a lot of conformity very easily. Like technology can enforce conformity in ways that lower tech sometimes can't. And so maybe it's a sort of a nature-based name, because nature is outside of that technological conformity. Animals don't need iPhones, and so they just go do their own animal thing and that kind of stuff. Plants grow where they want to grow, and as much as we try to stop them.
Okay.
So
Here I was thinking the exact opposite, because of like the idea of having an online pseudonym is like a way that most people express having a secondary name that they choose for themselves, right?
Right, but that pseudonym that you're using online could come from anywhere, right?
Well, I was thinking of something like that versus something like the empowerment of anonymity versus something like what Blizzard tried to do, where they tried to force real names in order to make people accountable. Like if the idea is that the conformity is there, then it means that they're probably forcing real names for accountability. And what people who rebel against the idea of having a birth given name would do would be to pick their own names, and the empowerment that goes along with not having to deal with having your being recorded via your identity.
Okay.
I was just trying to work like the child naming thing into a greater ideology than just like now we're calling Billy Bobby.
Okay.
But we could work it in the other direction. Honestly, it doesn't. If you want to work it in the other direction and make it like naturalism is the rebellion, then it could be like a hippie thing, right? The way that like the hippies made up names for themselves that weren't their default names and interacted with other people in the hippie community via their made up names. So we could take the exact same idea and make it natural.
Okay. So we still haven't actually picked a name for all of this discussion.
So what's something natural that you think Eudora would find valuable and want to name herself after?
What if we move on and
Yeah.
figure out the other characters and come back to this? Because I don't want to stall out all night.
Okay,
I'm
I've got an
picking
idea
Eudora's
if you're
secret
willing
name.
to take suggestions.
Sure. Let's
Sure.
just take the idea.
I've been doing the count on fingers for letters, and if naturalism is the rebellion, but she does properly identify with being someone who's a known chef, then maybe her self-chosen rebellion name, which is like a pseudonym, is Kettle.
Okay.
Okay, sure.
Because also 6.
Okay, so it does fit the 6-letter pattern. It's just not the 6 letters that she was given.
It's the 6 letters that she chose. I mean, names still have to be 6 letters. Let's not get crazy here.
Okay. Right, that wouldn't fit on your ID card if it was a different number of letters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're not getting new ID cards.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. So we've got Eudora, who secretly identifies with the name Kettle, older woman who's a celebrity chef. So now we describe the Fallen. The Fallen actively promotes the Flaw's growth within the Haven. So for the Fallen, we need a relationship to the hero, an occupation, so a connection to one of the traditions there, and then some general stuff about their identity. So what relationship is our Fallen going to have with the hero?
I kind of want the Fallen to be the hero's rain wife, but have it take place during summer or during fire. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Excuse me.
Okay. And how about their occupation? I guess we can say her occupation if it's a rain wife.
Yeah, I guess I did just steal the gender here.
That's all right.
Fine.
We can have a.
I was thinking something ridiculous like Emma, but with 4 M's. That's make it 6 letters.
I like that.
I hate it so much. We need to use it.
Yes.
Oh, it's terrible. I love it.
I'm sorry.
No, that's great. That's great because I think that's great because then the Emma symbolizes to Eudora the ridiculousness of this naming tradition.
Yeah.
Like, really, 4 M's?
Or maybe she just got a shit cheese wheel.
Yeah. Yeah, and then Emma's like, no, but this is the name that I have to have because these are the letters that I was given.
We started good, but then letters like 3 through 6 were all the M's.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
All right, occupation.
Maybe she works for the Smiling Sheep clothing company?
Yeah, fashion work.
Okay.
Is she like a graphic designer or something?
Sure.
Maybe she like alters the like logo every so like the smiling sheep has to stay, but like what if she like designs the seasonal variants of the sheep? Like all her job is to do is pick the color hex.
Right. Yeah, because there's fashion in this world, but it's, everybody's got to follow the same fashion. So Smiling Sheep Clothing Company decides what the color for this season is and then makes the clothes and everybody wears the clothes that color. And that's Emma's job.
God, that name's awful.
I mean, the Fallen is kind of the villain of the story, right? So
yeah, this will be the destruction of the caravan at the hands of Emma.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then we have the pillar, who is a normal person content with the status quo in the Haven. And so they get a relationship to the hero, an occupation, and an identity.
So what occupations do we have left? We have religion, government.
And it could overlap. It could be the same thing. Like the pillar could be another person that works for the clothing company or whatever, or another chef.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be. It's not exclusive.
Mm-hmm. I kind of like the idea of religion.
So are they clergy in this religion, maybe?
I feel clergy are often like agents of stagnation, so to speak. Like they're not people that force change in one direction or the other.
Yeah, that fits.
Yeah, if our religion is based around this way of life, then yeah, a clergy person would be pretty invested in that. Okay, and so then what is their relationship to Eudora?
I've got ideas, but I don't want to eat up everybody's options.
I don't really have ideas for this, except sibling in the most generic of ways. So.
Yeah, I was thinking this might be one of those two on the nose things, but if Emma's the rain wife, maybe our pillar is Eudora's fire wife. So then she's kind of going back and forth between these two people.
Okay, it's not out of the question.
She's one of the people that's just goes back and forth between the same two people. Their relationships. Okay, we'll do that then. Fire wife, so another she, her, and so we need another 6-letter name.
Something less insidious.
Helena.
Okay. That's good for me. Is that all right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Eudora, Emma, and Helena. Okay. All right. So we've kind of created our stuff that we need to create. So why don't we take a quick break, use the bathroom, whatever, and then come back, say 5 minutes, and start playing? Does that sound good?
Can I put forth one more thing before we break?
Oh, sure.
When it comes to like the identity of the hero, fallen, and pillar, I feel like we've got like their names and their roles and stuff, but we didn't really talk about what they look like or what their temperament is like, which I feel like are really important parts of identity.
Oh,
and also
sure.
important parts of like maybe nailing down characters a little bit better before we put our own spins on them. Because if we put like 100% of our own spins on the characters, it's going to be kind of rough, right?
Okay, sure. Do you have specific ideas to put in?
So the first specific idea I had was for Emma, and I feel like I want Emma to be someone like because she got a crap name. That's a result of the conformity of the society. I want her to be someone who treats her devotion to conformity with kindness. That she thinks of the least of people in the society, and because of that, designs everything to accommodate the least of people. Or perhaps the people that face the most hardship by the least of people. I mean.
Okay, and that makes an interesting kind of antagonist who's driven by kindness and helping people. Okay. So, Christina, does that sound good to you?
Sure.
Okay, cool.
And I kind of want Emma to be a little on the portly side because she did choose to marry a chef. Like I feel like food is something that's like very important to Emma and something that she sees in Eudora.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's the opposite of like what a lot of people envision a fashion designer as, right? Like fashion designers
Right.
are known as people that only provide options for people who are very thin and people that
Right.
don't have any challenges.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I could see our whole society, being a society that doesn't necessarily value thinness
Yeah.
in the way that contemporary American society does. So,
Mhm.
um,
And maybe there's a bit of an age difference, right? Not like a giant age
could
difference,
be.
but maybe Emma's a little younger.
Okay.
Like she's her Morcon society isn't fading as quickly as Eudora's is.
Mm-hmm.
Emma's got another 15 years ahead of her.
Okay. But then maybe Helena is comparable age
Yeah, she could be
to
comparable age.
Eudora. Okay. I think that also kind of makes sense. The person that would be really invested in the status quo might be older.
It's like the system worked for me, so
Right.
don't get upset.
Yeah, actually, I kind of like that idea that's Helena's attitude is the system worked for me, so it must be okay. And Emma's like, I'm gonna make the system work for everybody, and Eudora is like, no, wait, this system is gonna crash and burn, and we need to do something about it. So that gives us three different kind of competing philosophies.
Good. That's like the whole point, right? All right. I feel
Yeah.
really satisfied with this.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, so except for I guess maybe let's talk about Eudora's temperament a bit.
Yeah, what I was kind of envisioning when I first suggested the idea of her being older was that she's kind of uh like kind of over this shit. Like she doesn't have enough time left to care about doing things the right way and
About niceties.
niceties. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
Because if she's sort of the one that's trying to be like, everybody wake up, we got some problems. Um, there's that certain like old lady freedom where you're just like, fuck it all.
Yeah.
And so maybe she's got a little bit of that.
I like that.
Cool.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so why don't we take then a 5-minute break? So I've got 14 after the hour on my clock. So come back at 19 after, and we'll start to play through some scenes with these people.
All right.
Okay.
Sounds good. Just enter. I'm back.
I've been muted this whole time. I've been saying things.
You have. I don't know if you're talking or what, but yeah, has a little icon.
I just noticed that I was muted. Okay, so we're all back.
Yep.
All right. So the way that the play portion works here is that we'll allocate the roles of the hero, the fallen, and the pillar. Then for each round, there's 4 steps. So step 1 is the pillar will describe one of the traditions becoming corrupted by our flaw. Step 2, the hero will frame a scene, something that they're doing within our society may or may not be related to the corrupted tradition that we just heard about. And we'll kind of play that scene out. We'll each play our character if they're part of it, play any NPCs as needed. Kind of just go through a scene and see how it plays out. Then the fallen will frame a scene, and kind of in reaction to whatever the hero did during their scene. Show the unintended consequences of the hero's actions, or set up problems for the hero, stuff like that. Then again, we'll role play out that scene. And then the 4th step, the hero will reflect on the current state of the haven, kind of give us some insight into their thinking. So we do those 4 steps, then we rotate characters. So the pillar will become the hero will become the fallen will become the pillar. We'll play another round, and we can play as many rounds as we like until we get to the point that we all feel like we're kind of coming up on the impending final destruction of our haven, and then we can all kind of agree, all right, this round will be the last one, and we can go as long as we want until we make that decision, but then we're like, all right, this will be the last one. We'll play through one more time, and then we do the kind of end game stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so do we have someone that would like to volunteer to be our first hero?
We have to look at. Should we? So do we have corruption before or after the hero scene? Do we do corruption first before?
So corruption will be the first thing that happens, but we have to decide who's who.
Gotcha.
First.
Because the pillar is the one that dictates that. Gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
The pillar decides on the corruption. Well,
okay.
Why don't I just go ahead and be the hero the first time around?
Sure.
So then it's, according to the thing, it's person to the hero's, what is it? The hero's left is the
you could just dictate
fallen.
what it is.
So yeah, I want to kind of set up our order because we're going to rotate things in that order. So according to what's on my screen right now, Kirk is to my left, so you'll be the fallen first, and then Christina will be the pillar first. and so then we'll rotate in that order when we switch roles. Okay, so if Christina is our first pillar, you get to do step 1, describe how one of our traditions is being corrupted by our flaw. So something is going wrong with one of our traditions, or is becoming twisted in some way because of our flaw of conformity.
I feel like a lot of these traditions are born out of the conformity. So
right, yeah. So they, maybe they go too far, become counterproductive in some way because we're being too conformist or something like that.
Okay. Maybe these romantic relationships. I feel like maybe society is this idea, some portion of society goes back and forth between the same people, but another portion is, following the seasonality, but not necessarily going to the same person season after season.
Okay.
So maybe conformity is pressuring those who are, flitting between people season to season to stop that behavior, and that's creating some societal friction.
Okay. So it's becoming seasonally duogamous. You're just going back and forth between the same two people.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Wait, is this good or bad? I'm a little confused.
Okay. I don't know.
I mean, if people don't feel like they have the option anymore, that they have to be stuck in this alternation, and maybe there's, people that had hoped to switch things up a bit now feel like they're stuck with this person that they thought they were just picking for a season, but now they feel like they're obligated to keep coming back to them.
Oh, so are we eliminating the duality so that it's just one person now?
I don't know. Let me think of something else.
I'm sorry, I just don't get it, because it's supposed to be like
you're just alternating back and forth between the same two people.
Yeah.
You're not changing it up at all.
So, like, is the idea that you can't change it up anymore? Like, you're only allowed to have like permanently committed relationships within the duality? Like, that's what the change is? Because the change is supposed to be something that's more conformist, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. Why don't I pick something else then?
I mean, I think that's a good one.
You can go for it. I just didn't get it.
Yeah, we just had to clarify what it meant.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I think that could actually set up an interesting scene then, if Eudora is wrestling with this change.
Can be fewer date nights at the restaurants.
Yeah, or I mean, I was thinking even within her own relationships.
Right. Is Eudora committed in her relationships? I thought the idea, like, she's got 2 wives.
Right. Well, so, if she's been going back and forth between Emma and Helena for a while, but now she's feeling a little trapped by that, because, like, maybe we're seen as that kind of the change of the seasons, and so, like, she's trying to decide whether she really wants to go back to Helena for the fire season. And she's so maybe the scene is happening in the in her kitchen where she does all of her cooking, and she's baking her loaf of marriage bread for the fire season, and trying to decide who she's going to share this bread with, and is she going to continue in the pattern of being with Helena every fire season.
I like that.
So I'm envisioning she's in the kitchen, and she maybe has an assistant there helping out, So she's like
Stephanie?
kneading the bread, and I'm sorry.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but Christina, did you read everything already?
I have read everything. Yes.
Great. I just wanted to make sure because we didn't bring up the consequences and stuff, and it's my first time playing, and I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page with consequences.
By read everything, do you mean the book, the game manual?
Yeah.
I've had some actual play sessions, but the
you've
game
actually
manual.
played. You're better than us. Great.
No. I've heard some actual game AP of this. I've never played it before.
Okay.
I haven't read the rules because it wasn't distributed.
Yeah. I apologize. I thought I had distributed the rules and sent the wrong link.
No, it's okay. I don't think I've never been in a Gauntlet game where the rules were distributed.
Yeah.
But I just assume that you read the rules, right? So should we talk about? But you've seen the actual plays, so like
many moons ago, and I'm in a very busy part of my life right now, so I can treat it as essentially having not heard actual play.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So the consequences. Yeah. So the consequences, the fallen can, if they think something the hero has done is going to have larger ramifications or consequences to it, they can essentially officially state that and say there's a consequence, and point out what the consequence of the hero's action will be. So it'll be something that will affect our society in a larger
and
way.
So the pillar does that in this particular scene, or that's the fallen.
The fallen does
I'm
that.
sorry. Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Did you guys play Telltale games?
No.
Oh, okay. There's a parlance in Telltale games where like there's text that scrolls on top that's kind of meta textual. That says this action will have consequences.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
But okay, I didn't mean to interrupt your scene. I just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page for consequences, so that when I say consequences during the scene, as I'm the fallen, Christina knows what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Definitely.
Good.
All right. So why don't we have the scene with Eudora is making the bread for the fire season. I'm imagining just thematically appropriate. It's like bread with like hot peppers in it and stuff for fire. And Helena maybe comes by.
Okay, so hi, Eudora. How are you doing?
Oh, hi, Helena. Yeah, nice to see you here. I'm sorry, I've been so busy because a lot of people have orders. It's a marriage bread season, right? Gotta make a lot of marriage bread for everybody.
That sounds great. I mean, I guess people are they ordering more or less marriage bread than compared to other seasons?
I mean, it's about the same amount, I think. I'm seeing a lot of the same people coming in for it. Some people seem a little less of the new relationship energy kind of feeling in some of the folks. I think a lot of people are going back to the same folks that they've been with last fire season, more so than they used to.
I guess it's different,
Yeah. I mean, people. I guess people do it different ways sometimes, but yeah. So, Helena, I've been thinking about that.
All right. Do you want to talk about something pertaining to the two of us?
Yeah. And a good 6-letter name for the assistant. Could you go? Go down to the store and we need some more oil. Pick up a jug for me, thanks. So yeah, Helena, I'm just going to be blunt about this. I don't know if we should be together this fire season.
Oh, why is that?
I'm feeling a little stuck in things. I feel like I've been doing the same thing every season for a long time, and I feel like I need to like get in touch with who I really am instead of just what I've always been doing. Figure out who is Eudora really underneath it all.
But isn't the sameness comforting?
It can be, yeah. It can be comforting sometimes, but it can also be kind of stagnant. I feel bad saying that because you're a really nice person. I'm not trying to it's not you, it's me.
How many times have I heard that in my life?
I'm sorry, Helene. I meant to do this differently, but then you came in and the conversation started, and I didn't want to lead you on and tell you I was making our bread if I wasn't.
I can respect that, I guess. I just don't know how to feel.
So I feel like this is a really awkward scene for our two characters.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna throw some consequences at you then.
Okay.
But there will be consequences because Helena. It's Helena, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
All right. Because Helena has been in a committed relationship and rejected on the eve of the society pressuring people to be in more long-term committed relationships. The church makes that more of a focus based on her future recommendation.
Okay.
The church is now the hardline promoter of seasonal monogamy.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that.
Are you gonna call scene?
Yeah, I think that's a good wrap there. I feel he's just gonna get more and more uncomfortable if we have to play this out. with poor Helena getting rejected.
It's okay. I've had plenty of breakups in my lifetime in IRL, so what's
right.
Getting the feet wet in the gauntlet this way.
Okay.
Sorry. I don't know what I'm doing, and clearly, I mean, this is all like open-ended.
No, you're doing fine.
Yeah, no, you did great. Like that was
okay.
That's how a scene can go. Okay, so now the Fallen frames a scene. So the little description here says the Fallen's player frames a scene about the hero. This can be a continuation of the previous scene or something else happening in the hero's life. Show how the downfall develops based on what the hero did or didn't do to help the Haven. Challenge the hero and make life difficult for them. So what's our next scene there?
So I hate the idea of consecutive scenes.
Okay.
I do too. I'm with you there.
So
let's not have something consecutive to that, please.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's gonna be. I'm gonna twist a knife. Don't worry, but it's not gonna be consecutive.
Thanks.
Who gets to be Fallen next? What's the order going to be? Just so I know.
So it's
because we don't have the same order in our tiles.
Right. So pass it to the right. So I'll be the next Fallen. Yeah, let me write down the order in the chat here.
Thank you.
Okay.
So things will pass from. Okay, so things pass from Christina to Kirk to me, back around to Christina.
Okay.
So I'll be the next. I'll be the Fallen in the next go around.
Okay. So this scene is both of you are back in your 40s, and this is when Eudora Euphoria has too many letters. This is when Eudora was having her first date with Helena, and Eudora invited her to the restaurant after hours, and she was so nervous about her first date with Helena that she ended up burning the creme brulee that she was trying to make for her, and the kitchen is now in a state of a small kitchen fire.
Okay.
Like, actively burning?
Yes, actively burning.
Okay.
Eudora's best laid plans are not in this chaotic and romantic scenario.
All right, yeah.
Symbolism here.
Running around at full speed, trying to find some water. I'm guessing something must be wrong with the automatic fire extinguishers here. I probably have turned them off because I keep accidentally setting them off with cooking things that make a lot of steam. And
so has the scene started, or are you still building background?
No, this is great. I'm the one that dictates the scene, so Enter is actually starting the scene.
So
that's great.
I'm just playing it out
like
as you do. Yeah, so I'm running around scrambling for something that I can throw on this fire. Then all this smoke is billowing out, and most of what's in the kitchen is flammable. Can't throw oil on it, can't throw flour on it. I've got a whole bunch of lettuce. Is lettuce kind of wet enough to put out a fire? I guess we'll see. And now we've got the smell of burning lettuce.
Why don't we try that instead of describing it in exquisite narrative detail? Oh gosh, what happened?
Geez, I'm so sorry. I was making a creme brulee and I left it in too long. Shoot, can you hand me that jug of orange juice?
Orange, sure. Happy Sheep Company.
Let's try. And I think we've finally the fire calms down, but there's all kinds of different stuff that's been put on it now. So there's this horrible mixed smell, and I sit down at the table with kind of the head in my hands, kind of thinking, oh God, I have ruined this date so bad.
I go over to Eudora and I place a comforting hand on her back and say, I've seen worse. It's okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Eudora's cell phone rings, and because there's a text message. And the text message is from Emma, and it says quick, go out the back real fast.
And look at it. I'm like, excuse me 1 second, and I'll go peek out the back.
I'm a little taken aback, but I'm like, whatever. I can't get be worse than fire.
This is fire season, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah. So at the back of the restaurant, Emma's car is still running, and she has a cake box in her hand, and she says, "I knew this would happen. This is exactly what happened on our first date. Take this and go back inside." She gives you the thumbs up and the wink, like, "You get him, Tiger."
Nice. Yeah, I feel like we know where this scene is here.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, if you want to call it then. All right, we'll call scene.
Okay. So last step, the hero reflects on the current state of the Haven. Because I think after having that really awkward breakup conversation with Helena, Eudora's been thinking about their first date and how kind of wacky romantic it was. Right, because there's the romance where everything goes perfectly, and it's like in a movie, and there's the romance where everything goes totally wrong, and that's why you fall in love, like a different type of movie.
Right.
And so she's thinking back on how everything went wrong on the first date, and yet it ended up so well because they had been together a long time, and how maybe she kind of screwed things up with the way she handled this last thing, and she's got some self-doubt about her her non-conformity that she's trying to kind of process, because she's been getting older. She's been thinking about, this is my last chance to really rebel against the nonconformity and show that our society doesn't have to be so conformist. And yet, I tried to do that just a little bit, not even going outside of historical norms, just pushing back a little against the current heightened conformity, and I upset somebody that I cared about. So I think that's Eudora's kind of mental state there. Okay, so then we rotate our characters. So Christina will be playing our hero. I will
like
be.
A pillar?
I'm sorry?
Like a pillar?
Yeah, and then you'll be the pillar. So our pillar, tell us about one of our traditions and how it is becoming corrupted.
I didn't think ahead of time. Give me just a second.
Yep.
No, I don't want to take something away from Eudora. I don't want it to be food yet. Save food for later, right? Let's make it. Let's make it birth. Yeah, that'll give Eudora some stuff to rebel against. So for birth, we're still doing one wedge every 2 years, but children are being named when they're 6. So no new children have names that are longer than 3 letters.
Okay.
There's even less individuality available.
Okay.
You also can't spell Emma right still.
Emma with one M. Yeah.
Just Emma.
There's also a kid that's just 3 M's.
They're just 3 M's or 3 R's.
Or, okay.
Should we be updating our traditions?
Yeah, if we want to make note of the changes that we've had going on.
That'll help me keep track of everything. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so Christina, you're playing Eudora this time around. So frame a scene in which, and it doesn't have to relate directly to the tradition that has just been corrupted. So if there's something else you'd like to see Eudora do, interacting with the society, trying to change it somehow, it's kind of wide open.
Okay. Maybe Eudora has a relative of some sort who's expecting a child. I'm going to stick with it being related to the tradition because I'm not very creative. And maybe they're at let's say a baby shower. That's still a custom in the society. I feel like that wouldn't go away. And yeah, it's a social setting at a baby shower, and sometimes at these baby showers, names are revealed. But it's sort of like this restriction to 3 letters has. Actually, no. At baby showers, the names wouldn't be revealed, would they? Maybe the topic of naming is being discussed, but I mean, like, not the name for the specific child that's being celebrated. Yeah, baby shower is good. And are we still in fire season or water season?
Up to you. You're framing the scene.
Let's say we're in fire season still.
Okay.
Although it's post breakup, right? So Helena is not is maybe Helena is like salty about the breakup and like wants to come around and like cause gossip or mischief to Eudora at this social gathering.
It doesn't have to be post breakup, does it?
I think since this is a downfall thing, like flashbacks are okay sometimes, but I think overall we should be moving forward in time so that we can see the downward progression of our society.
Yeah, I think that's enough of a scene. So maybe I'm like, just doing stupid baby shower games, like, I don't know, guessing sex of the child, or
where is it again? I'm sorry. I get the event, but where is the event?
So why isn't it at I feel like if Emma's a chef, she probably has a restaurant space.
Okay, so it's at a restaurant.
It can be held at Emma's restaurant.
Should we name a restaurant?
Sure. Go ahead and name it. Remember that. Go ahead.
I was going to say maybe she's flaunting her rebellion, and it's called Three Kettles.
I like that.
Okay. Yeah. I'll note that on the thing.
Thank you.
Three Kettles restaurant. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So
whose baby shower is it? Is it just somebody who's renting out the restaurant for it?
Yeah, I guess it's one of her patrons. I was going to say family, but I don't know too much about her family, and I don't want that to be like too informative of the following scene. So let's just do like a patron that has long been a customer of Emma's.
Okay.
And I guess we need a name for that, so we can just say Chiara. Chiara. That is 6 letters. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Let me make an NPCs list so that we can keep.
Oh, good call.
Track of these. Okay. So wait, how are we spelling Chiara?
Chiara.
Okay, the H is what I was missing. I was like, it's only 5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Chiara is there, and I'm not sure if Emma's there, so I could play Chiara.
Okay.
Hey, how do you want Chiara to be pillar or fallen?
Aren't the pillar and fallen supposed to be the NPCs that we created like the first round?
Right, they're the characters we created, but depending on who plays the NPC can kind of influence their role in the scene.
I see.
So it's like the attitude, like you'd pick a pillar to play the NPC if you want them to have a pillar role.
I see. I think pillar.
Great.
No, it's just a patron, so pillar makes sense.
Okay, so then Kirk can play Chiara.
Okay.
And then if you have any other NPCs you'd like me to play, just tag me in, or I can just be a general party goer.
I mean, maybe I was thinking that Emma could like stride in eventually and try to cause mischief at the party. So I wanted to retain Emma as a participant in the scene, and I'll let you describe.
Okay.
Or I'm the scene narrator, so I guess I'll pick a
no, I can jump in at the worst possible
opportunity. Please do. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess go ahead and.
Okay. So the two of you just describe what you're doing at the baby shower.
Okay. I'll step up a little. Chiara is sitting with her. Is it fire or is it rain?
It's fire season right now.
Great. So Chiara is very pregnant, very, very pregnant, and she's sitting with her fire husband on her right, and but her rain husband is there too, and they get along magnificently, and he's on her left, and they actually have a folding table that they brought with them that's triangular because they ordered a wheel-shaped cake that's going to be cut into just 3 pieces for the 3 of them.
Okay.
And the rain husband's like best friend is there, and they're having drinks, and the fire husband is there with his 2 other kids, as this is not their first go about, and they're really excited because it's the first time they get to have a kid that's just going to have 3 names. They're 3-letter names.
So I guess the hero Eudora takes one look at the cake and is like 3. Is that like meant to be like symbolic of name, or is that like a very on the nose sort of thing, or is that just a coincidence here?
Like, what? You made the cake for us, right? You said everything would be good for. You've done these baby showers before.
I
It's
have.
fine that we get a 3-wedge cake because we just do the 3 letters now.
I mean, I guess, but I didn't. You fill out the order form?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was told by your. Do we ever have an assistant? An assistant would make it really fun.
Yeah, sure. We can have an assistant.
I put a name down before when we were looking for an assistant name. Those were Bexy because it's another futuristic but a 6-letter name.
Okay.
So I
that was
talked to
Rebexy, was that?
Yeah, I put it in private chat.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on the phone with Rebexy, and she said that it wouldn't be a problem.
Well, maybe I need to have a talk with Rebexy then, but sure, it's what you ordered, and sure, 3 wedge cake then.
Oh, good. I'm glad. For a minute, I thought there might be an issue. It's good that you agree with us that it's really fun that we get to have the 3-letter names. I thought there was too much expression in having 6 letters before anyway. This is fine how it is.
I guess at some point, when you've seen so many fire seasons and water seasons come and go, everything is fine in the end, isn't it?
That's what it's about, not rocking the boat. And this boat just keeps going. And she gives her first son a hug.
But aren't you afraid that your 3-letter named child is going to feel different from their 2 siblings?
It'll be a little different while everything's changing over, but ultimately it'll be easier.
Well, I mean, I guess it's, one less syllable to, lengthen a conversation. So there has to be an upside to this too.
Exactly. I'm glad that you're so welcoming of this.
And secretly inside, Eudora is like cringing a little. Like at this, I think she's just like making small talk to be like, I don't know a way to convey that on webcam or in
Jera is absolutely thrilled to be talking with Eudora, and she's a big fan of Eudora's work and has her cookbook at home, and is super glad that Eudora is supporting her new child.
I think this might be a good time for Emma to come in. She's been invited to the shower, and she's bringing a gift that is, and she hands it over to Kiara. A gift for your new little one. We're so excited. This is compliments of the Smiling Sheep Company.
Kiara is thrilled. She opens it right in front of Emma and picks it up, and it's a onesie that looks exactly like the onesies that her younger children have. And she says, "I love it. I would buy 2 more, and I will buy 2 more."
I like you. So I think Eudora is incensed by Emma's presence, and is obviously is like still trying to play nice, but is like kind of she starts to like verbalize her discomfort and says, "Not this corporate shill crap again."
And I think Emma like deliberately doesn't respond to that. Like clearly hears it and deliberately doesn't respond, and turns to Kiara, and I'm so excited that you're getting on with the new 3-letter names. I think that's going to make things so much easier. Graphic design wise, it's much easier to work with 3 letters than 6. And that's, I mean, I only have 3 letters really, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like I can connect with the youth that are coming up with their 3-letter names.
And there's so many people like you, Emma, people that have names like yours. And if we have 3 letters, it seems more fair, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've actually seen 2 children that have already gotten the name Emma with 1 M. It makes it much easier.
Don't you wish you could have that?
If we could change our names, if we could pick a name that we preferred rather than the name that was given to us, I might consider it. But you can't do that. You can't.
Oh, that's hilarious! Could you imagine? That could never
Emma
happen.
has no idea, but she just bust that out in front of Eudora / Kettle.
Maybe. So I mean, Eudora's been like, just kind of pokes the point a little bit, and it's like, well, what if we could? What would you name yourself?
I mean, that's a question I can't even comprehend. Like, what does that even mean? To give yourself a name that you picked out? That's like.
What if we had two melds, right?
Yeah, like I don't even know how to answer that. Jeez.
I mean, what if you looked beyond all the happy sheep that's plastered everywhere and the cycle of the seasons, and what if we just like closed our eyes and looked inside ourselves and listened to the inner voice that speaks the name that is just bursting forth from ourselves? Don't you guys do that, or am I just weird?
Jared settles up to Emma and says, "Looks like somebody's been digging into the cooking line a bit much, huh?"
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could. I mean, I work for the Happy Sheep Company, so I could be sheep with 3 E's. That'd be 6 letters. That works, right?
I love it.
And Emma Eudora gives an awkward laugh. She's like, never mind.
Yeah.
Jara moves over to her baby shower table and picks up the next box and unwraps it and holds up the exact same onesie that Emma handed her, and she goes, "Oh, thank you so much, Mom. This is the best." I'm going to call scene.
Okay, I think that's good. Okay. So now the Fallen frames a scene about the hero. Let's see. So I think I want to flip over and see how Helena is dealing with the breakup. So it's about the hero, but the hero might not be actually appearing in it. Does that sound good?
I don't think that's is that something we're supposed to do?
I think that's all that says a scene about the hero. Something else happening in the hero's life. So I don't think the hero has to necessarily star in the scene.
Okay. Okay, sure.
If I
wasn't sure if that's how it's supposed to go.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, if this crashes and burns and doesn't work, then I guess we'll have found out if that's.
Yeah, sure. I'll give it
possible. A shot. Yeah. So I think that Helena got rejected and has ended up without a partner for this fire season because she was expecting to be with Eudora, and so she is at the temple, whatever our religious building is here. Maybe like saying some prayers or some chanting some mantras.
Real fast. If we're gonna do hero-less scenes, then but I'm gonna be playing as the pillar. Should I be working toward things that could? I don't know how it would work that I could work toward things that could have consequences. Because consequences are always
no, you're right.
Does, and I'm not supposed to do anything that's challenging enough that would have consequences, right?
Okay, no, you're right. That does create complications for trying to do a hero-less scene.
And like one of the things with consequences is that you want to feed other people things that they can call consequences on, because that means that the downfall accelerates, right?
Should we have called consequences on the last scene? I don't think we did.
Oh no, the only person who can do it is the fallen.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, sorry. The roll switching's having me a little bamboozled here,
that's
but
all right. Yeah, maybe we
it.
should.
The center was the only one that could call consequences in that scene, and if
Right.
you didn't want to, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay.
But like,
so you're right. I
hesitant.
think we do need the hero in the scene to make that mechanic available. Okay. So new scene idea. Let's see. So we've done a bunch of scenes in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So maybe we should see what Eudora does outside of the restaurant. So this is the fire season, and we haven't actually seen any fires happening. So why don't we have a scene where there is a fire approaching across the landscape? I guess we haven't really nailed down the kind of ecology of the area. I'm envisioning maybe since it burns so frequently, I'm envisioning more of kind of like a grassland that would grow back really quickly and be ready to burn in the next fire season. So maybe there's a big fire that's coming quickly towards our haven across the grasslands, and so when this happens, everybody gets called out to help, be on the fire brigade and put the fire out. Nobody's too important to not pass water buckets along to put the fire out. And so Eudora is, we'll say, at the front line. Since we've established she has experience putting fires out. So she's at the front line getting water buckets passed to her. And let's say that, should we make it awkward for her and put Helena next to her in the water brigade line?
Yes.
Okay, let's do that then. And then Emma's nearby, maybe in like the next line over, so she can see what's going on. But yeah, so the fire's coming and people are passing water from the well up to the people that are using it to try to keep the fire out.
And who is who again? 1 second. I just forget the order.
Oh, I'm Pillar.
Okay.
And you're Hero, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Christina's our hero.
Oh, I am. Okay, I thought I was Hero at the last. I'm sorry.
Well, so you do two scenes with a certain allocation of roles.
Yeah, and one is framed by the hero and one is framed by the fallen. So this is the one that Center is framing as the fallen.
So let me actually, I'll put the roles in the chat and update them each time. I think that'll
Thank you. Sorry.
Clearer. Okay.
So what's the apparatus that we're using to put out the fire? Also, is the fire sentient? Because I want it to be sentient.
That's a Chuck Tingle novel.
Hey, what do you think this fire is going to do to us? I was thinking like Hell's Moving Castle. I wasn't thinking anything more scandalous than that.
I mean, I'm sorry. I just played the Tingleverse, and so that doesn't necessarily imply scandal to me. Just sentence.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I could even play the sentient fire then, since Emma's not directly involved. So yeah, so the fire is raging up towards the settlement. There's a big column of black smoke coming off of it. And there's I'm imagining in this environment there are plants that have certain oils and stuff in them that when they burn, they give off a fragrance. So there's this heavy smell of these plants in the air.
what's the apparatus for us putting out the fire? You said something about buckets, which sounds lovely and quaint and charming.
Yeah.
In a high-tech society, we only have buckets.
No, I
That's
like it.
true.
Maybe it's like a ritualization. Like the fire isn't really that dangerous, but we use the buckets because it's like a regular thing we do every year, like a festival.
And then because then everybody has to help out with buckets, right? Because if you had a fire truck, you just have like a couple of professional firefighters and they go put it out.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
This is a holdover from the olden days that we've kept because of how it's
something fun and seasonal to do.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, okay, so Eudora is going to first start out with a comment on the buckets. Like, these things again? I mean, in the age of internet and sheep clothing, you think that we would have come up with something better than gosh darn buckets.
Helena, oh gosh, what's something? Helena passes her a bucket and says, "You remember a couple of years ago when you brought a fire extinguisher from the restaurant and you just acted like the fire in front of you went out real fast?"
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Change is good sometimes, I guess.
I think they knew we had nothing but peas for the next week. Just none of the other food deliveries came in but the peas. They knew something was going on.
Gosh, those were good times, weren't they?
Well, I hear you're not doing that sort of thing anymore. I was talking with Rebexy last week, and she said that that you're doing the whole 3-letter baby shower. I'm glad that you weren't pushing against it. I was a little worried for a while.
I mean, you have to keep up appearances, right? It doesn't. You can do one thing and think another, right?
Yeah, as long as what you're thinking doesn't really, and Helena looks sad for a moment, doesn't really change anybody's lives. She hands her a bucket and reaches back and breaks eye contact.
I take the bucket and I guess I'm at the front of the line and I throw it on the fire, and I feel.
Thank you for playing the fire.
and I feel a little twinge of sadness, but I'm still resolved in my sort of emotional neutrality.
Helena, go on.
Oh no, go ahead.
No, you're the fallen. This is actually your scene. Go for it.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm thinking there might be a consequence here that because Eudora and Helena are kind of working out their personal problems on the fire line, that the fire kind of breaks through a little bit and gets much closer to the settlement than the fires normally do. And so that it becomes like, a fire is no longer just like this thing that we have to ritually put out every fire season, but people are now worried that it's a real danger to the society if people are goofing around on the fire line.
So do you think as a whole, just as a clarifying question, do you think that because of the increased danger of the breakthrough fire, that society, in the way I read the religion, they tend to celebrate the fire, but do you think that they maybe start to look at it with like more nuance than just, yay, the fire is coming?
Yeah, I like that it's now something, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a thing you have to be a lot more careful about.
Okay.
You have to respect the fire, not just be like, yay, fire season.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I think is that good for the scene, or was there any more?
No, it's your scene. I didn't really have any more objectives. Okay. I just wanted to have Helena address the whole cake thing, since we didn't have the opportunity to throw consequences last time.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. All right. So then we have the hero. Give us your reflection on the current state of affairs.
I think Eudora's feeling a little personally despondent, because she's trying to change, and she's trying to, or at least express these new ideas, but everyone seems to be at least conforming in ways. So she's feeling like a little discouraged in her efforts. And she just sees the like cogs of conformity as too big to move right now, in what has transpired so far.
Okay. Sounds good. All right, so now we rotate. So I just sent our new list. So Kirk's our hero, Christina's our fallen, and I am our pillar. So I get to corrupt one of our traditions. So let's see. So I'm thinking that our Smiling Sheep company is expanding from just clothing. So now everything, it's becoming like the Amazon of our society. So they're buying out any other companies that make any other products and making them Smiling Sheep brand too. So it's not just clothes, it's food, it's household goods, it's cars, it's everything is becoming Smiling Sheep brand. And the Three Kettles restaurant is one of the few non-Smiling Sheep branded establishments that's still around. Although Eudora has to buy like Smiling Sheep brand, chocolate and Smiling Sheep brand cookware and supplies and stuff for the restaurant, because it seems like Smiling Sheep is taking over everything. Okay, so our hero frames the first scene.
Oh gosh, I really want it to be at the restaurant, but it's not too much a restaurant, so I'll frame it using the same idea as in a different location. Let's work with other traditions that we haven't touched yet. We haven't touched government yet, right?
Not
I
yet.
don't believe we have.
Okay. It's the end of the fire season, and there are still elections. Like it's not like a totalitarian state or anything. So let's name our new president. Can you guys give me a? All right, I could try to find a name. Let's go with That's pretty good. No, that's 5. We need 6.
You can just add an extra
Julissa.
letter in there.
I'll go with Julissa is our.
Julissa, okay.
Yeah. Julissa is our new president. So Eudora is catering Julissa's victory party. It's a big political affair, and it's a sit down dinner, and people can order whatever they want because there's a proper menu, and Eudora can take care of the orders no matter what people are ordering. She's got the supplies, and she's catering to everyone individually, and this is kind of the point.
So who's playing Julissa here?
Oh, I want Julissa to be the fallen.
Okay.
Or no, I want Emma to be in scenes. Emma hasn't been in enough scenes. Julissa is definitely the pillar.
Okay.
Julissa is the pillar, and what's Emma doing? Do you guys have a suggestion to work Emma into the scene?
Maybe Emma is like a working on Julissa's campaign or something.
Emma is a contributor to Julissa's campaign. She's a lobbyist.
So she is this like one of those things where you contributed enough money to like buy yourself a plate or something?
Yeah, you contributed enough money to buy yourself a plate and also to buy yourself political referendums that benefit your business.
Sure, we can do that.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
the scene opens with people jokingly calling non-6-letter names into the kitchen because each table has been asked to name themselves as a way of bringing their orders in, and everyone thinks it's a ridiculous, fun little party game that everyone gets to name themselves by table. It isn't their personal name, so of course there's nothing nonconformist about it. But instead of it just being table 1 or 2, people are calling out these super weird, like 8 or 4-letter names.
Table Steve, what?
Yeah. Table Steve sounds great.
Oh my gosh.
I think Julissa's at Table Steve.
Yeah, that sounds
perfect.
That sounds great. So the scene opens with Eudora back in the kitchen yelling for the waiters, saying, "All right, Table Steve is up." The waiters take a big plate of food that has lots of different types of like individually ordered, individually customized food that's set to people's different dietary prohibitions, set to people's different needs and preferences. It's as much nonconformity as Eudora could possibly fit into this extremely regimented political event.
I see. Remind me, the fallen is allowed to give consequences.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I have some in mind, but this is way too early in the scene. So
yeah, let me see what's the key phrase is, but there is a consequence, and then you interrupt the scene entirely and say what the consequence is, and then we can restart the scene.
Okay. Yeah. No. Keep on going.
Okay. I'm going to give you freedom as Emma to come in whenever you want, preferably outraged.
Like I guess I like come in, I like, find a free seat at Table Steve, and I'm like, of all the places, Jalissa, here?
Oh, so Jalissa's definitely at Steve's.
Oh, well, what's wrong with this? They have some great food here.
Can't say the same thing about the chef.
Oh, right, Emma. I know you have a history with her. I understand. But I really appreciate your contributions to my campaign. I think this is going to be a great season as president.
Eudora comes out of the. I'm sorry. Eudora comes out of the kitchen carrying a tray that has just the biggest roast pheasant you've ever seen, and she puts it down in front of Emma, and there's a second one on the tray that she gives to Jalissa and says, "Madam President, congratulations. I made this especially for my wife, but I wanted to share it with you because it's her favorite, and I hope it'll be yours too."
Oh, well, thank you. It's always nice to share a meal and eat the same thing together. I find it really brings the community together. We don't have to worry about everybody getting their own special thing. So
how's the steak tartare?
Oh, it's excellent.
I'm glad you like that too. Don't feel like you have to finish the pheasant. There's doggy bags all over. You can bring it home to the missus.
Okay, thank you. So now Emma, you had some things you wanted to raise for my administration to look into, and I'm happy to listen and see what I can do for you, because you have been a really staunch supporter of my campaign here.
And then, like, under her breath, Emma's like, but I probably donated more.
Mm-hmm. Donated more than what?
Donated, like, I don't know if Emma's been a financial support, or if Eudora's been a financial supporter, Emma's probably thinking like, I donated more or something.
Oh no, right. You were talking to Emma, right?
Yeah, I was
under my breath. Sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Eudora's not a supporter at all. Eudora's just catering.
Okay. Sorry, can we repeat that? I'm sorry. I'm a little confused.
That's all right. So Emma's was contributing to Jalissa's campaign. So Jalissa is just asking Emma for some input on what kind of issues she should be addressing as president.
Well, I think, these wildfires and these rains, they're starting to impact the agricultural supply of, the caravan. And maybe we should think about less, like more regimented food production and maybe a little less individuality in food expression. I heard of something called Soylent once, and
right. Yeah, that's true. If we could optimize it so that it's ideal for everyone, then that would make it much more efficient to produce.
And you could do the same with just a couple ingredients. As long as you've got enough to make it, as long as you've got a chef, everything's always different.
Yes. Well, that's not exactly what I had in mind.
Yeah.
If we want to optimize the nutrition of our children, right? Especially with the 3-letter names, they have to have like more, optimal nutritional input. So what if we all just, every meal for every person was administered at the same time, and with the same ingredients, and that's in the spirit of our shared societal principles.
I like where you're going with this. I like this idea. I will bring this up to the Legislative Council, and we will we'll look into this, because you're right. That could make things a lot more efficient. As much as I do enjoy the roast pheasant, I mean, this is excellent, but it's also a little bit of an extravagance since we're celebrating my election today.
Right. And eventually you're going to leave office, and you want to leave a good legacy for whoever assumes your role next, right?
That's true.
Eudora emerges from the kitchen again with dessert, as proper dessert is being served, and personally serves her award-winning flan to President Julissa and to everyone else at the table, and puts one down in front of Emma, and it is burnt to a fucking crisp. Scene.
Okay.
All right. Now it's Fallen's turn.
Let's see. For consequences or for a reflection?
No,
if you have
a phrase, if you've got consequences, you kind of bust in whenever the hero does something.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you had a consequence from that last
you can do it
round,
retroactively if you want to.
Sure. I'm sorry. This is really confusing to me. So the consequence I had in mind was sort of RP'd already out into it. So I think there are going to be new restrictions in the society on like meal timing. I think the thing that originally wanted me to trigger the consequence was all those individually like customized cupcakes or niceties that were set out for the guests. So what if instead there were things in society that there's like more
for Eudora trying to express herself to all these political people. That was kind of overreaching.
Yeah, also like I think this is kind of rooted in the breakup a little bit. It's like I think it's taking away Eudora's source of joy.
Oh, Emma's broken too?
No, maybe no. Scratch that. I'm sorry. I have a couple of the characters mixed up. Let's just say that there's more conformity in meals.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.
Just up to Fallen, right?
So now the Fallen sets a scene.
Okay, so I think I want to think about a scene around these like sort of big climactic, or everyone packing up and preparing to immigrate to the next place. I want to say it's Immigration Day, for lack of a better word, and everyone should be involved in the scene in order for the mechanics of the game to work. So, so it's the end of fire season. We're heading into water season, and there's just a big fire climax event that's going to like wipe out the local food chain and sort of like trigger their migration. And there's a ritual around this. And it's taking place in like the town square of whatever wherever this, whatever the gathering place is in this fire town. And the ritual is everyone has gone through all of their belongings and has determined what they can take with them and what they no longer need. And what they need is like in this big pile in the middle of the community. And it's basically going to be burned, that's going to be left behind, but everyone is sort of gathering and praying and blessing or doing some sort of ritual around these discarded objects. And the theme of the ritual is renewal and moving on. And so, and I guess this is also like the last day of everyone's contractual relationship, in this season. Mm-hmm. So maybe Eudora has, is gathered there with Emma.
Sure, they're still together. Things might be a bit rocky, but
yeah, and Helena is also there observing. Okay. I'll just say it's Helena, and I like the tension between Helena and Eudora more so than Emma.
Okay.
So Emma's probably in the crowd, but not necessarily actively participating in this scene.
Okay.
Remember, you could also introduce other NPCs and have them take full-on roles.
Yeah. I think I'm open to suggestions with regards to NPCs.
It's your scene. Just think about who you want there. And like what you want us to accomplish.
Okay.
Having fallen in the scene is good because it's someone to challenge the hero.
Okay. I will have a fallen themed NPC. Maybe some sort of inspector who's like going through all of the belongings and or look at like making sure everything's in order, but maybe like Eudora is like discarding some of her belongings in preparation for the journey that somehow indicate like individuality. Something like that. And so there's, this sort of audit like confrontation or
yeah, get ready for treason.
Yeah, it's something like that, yeah.
Okay.
And so this auditor can be named, oh God, I can't count letters this late. Marina. That's okay. Mom lame list. Marina, yep. She, her. And I think that's kind of apt because Marina has like water connotations to it, right? Mm-hmm. So okay, yeah. So enter Eudora, you tell me what you've discarded into this communal pile that sort of indicates individuality, and then I'll sort of step in as the inspector to
okay. Eudora and Helena are both there together. They came together because they're still friends. They're like, things were rough between them, but they talk, and they came to this together to show that they're still going to be friends even after this season ends. Season that like marked them not being together. But Eudora is mad at President Jalissa, and the president gave her certificates showing how much her catering was appreciated, and she has pictures from the event, and she's just throwing that stuff into the bonfire. and she's not even like vaguely hiding the fact that she's angry with these and just wants them to be burned, and is waiting for the next president to come around, and feels betrayed and ignored, and that this is someone that represents everything that she isn't.
Okay.
She's actually handing some to Helena and gleefully tossing certificates and pictures and even a little trophy and hands one of the certificates to Helena and says, "Here, great. You toss one of these too. I'd never want to think of these things again."
Yeah, don't you think you're overreacting a little bit?
What's it gonna matter? She's not going to give me anything that I want anyway. Everything's going to be reduced to just peas and carrots all day.
Yeah, but still, I mean, she was the president this season, and that's still,
I think the idea is like she's going to be president next season, right?
What's that?
I think the idea, because it's like end of fire, right? Like we haven't hit rain yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I got the timeline confused about when. Okay, so
So
Right,
like you
we're
have an election
celebrating
fire
the
for
election
the reign
for the
president, right?
coming season. Okay, sorry,
Yeah.
I was thinking
Sorry, that's where I was going with that. I'm sorry if I.
Oh, yeah. No, I just had the timeline off.
So
I thought
even
we were at the
higher
beginning of
stakes
fire season.
because
Okay.
Jalissa has the power, and I'm openly against the
I see
power.
where we're going with this. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think Helena's still a little hesitant because if she's going to be in power, I mean, you don't want to piss her off too much, right?
Eudora throws another handful of trophies into the fire, and says,
"That's a lot of trophies."
Yeah, she's very highly. At this point, she's also throwing trophies that weren't even about Jalissa. She throws another handful of trophies into the fire and says, "Don't you feel like everyone's been coming down on us really hard? Like everybody's been telling us what we're supposed to be. I feel like if I wasn't told that I would be stuck with whatever I decided romantically for the next season, I'd still be with you. Like we wouldn't even have this tension between us anymore. Isn't it terrible? Like where they're going with all this?"
I don't think it's that bad. I feel like you're really overreacting here. I mean, it's helpful to have some structure in life, and if some decisions can be taken off your plate, that's not a bad thing. I mean, we're hardly living in some sort of totalitarian dictatorship or something.
Eudora picks up a finely crafted wooden ornament that was given to her and Elena to celebrate their wedding 20 years ago, and says, "Well, I think I just wanted to distract myself. This is what we're really here together to do, right? Do you want to do it, or do you want me to do it?"
I can do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can
she hands her the fire-shaped wooden ornament.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, she tosses it in, kind of sadly.
And I guess Marina is just making the rounds of this communal burning pile and is really taken aback at the size of Eudora's pile relative to everyone else's. And also, I think the trophies lend and all the accolades are like sparklier and maybe than what everyone else is burning.
They don't burn great.
And so you're like, I'm like, wow, you guys are really going minimalist here. I guess minimalism's in for next water season, right?
Well, you can't take everything with you, right?
I mean, what are you trying to get rid of here? Wait a second. These have the official seal of President Jalissa. What's going on here?
Eudora throws a little trophy into the fire, and she says, "Well, the official seal's not going to mean much when I don't have the food that I used to have, right? I don't even know if I'll be able to stay in business like this. Who wants to come and eat the same thing they can get at home?"
I mean, I guess, but why are you burning these? Are you even allowed to burn these?
Well, last I checked, there weren't any rules. Feel free to be busted on this. Last I checked, there weren't any rules on what you can and can't burn at the ritual, right? I mean, if I'm burning my relationship with Elena, why can't I burn things that I didn't even like as much?
Okay, there's a consequence here. So, but there's a consequence, I guess. So going forward, any insurrection, we have this idea of sameness, and every spoke in the wheel is the same, but anyone who tries to damage the spokes or burn the wheel or deform the wheel, that's a problem. And so open defiance, like Eudora has displayed, is punishable by banishment.
Ooh.
Yeah. You have to make it on your own.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
That's an epilogue. Okay, maybe not banishment, imprisonment.
No, banishment's fine. Honestly, we're at 2.5 hours. If you wanted to call it after 3 rounds, it'll be a short game, but we've kind of clunked around a little, and that wouldn't be terrible. I'm okay with banishment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we got to escalate it, right? Our society has to
escalation is
totally
good.
collapse by the end of this.
Yeah, we have a 20-minute. I think the game was scheduled for 3 hours, so that gives 20-ish minutes for collapse.
Yeah. So we probably have time for,
Maybe one more.
I think maybe one more round. Does that sound
Sure.
reasonable?
Yeah, I like that.
Go one more
Like
go
that
around.
goes well
So
with the story too.
yeah. So we gotta bring it all down, and then we have a little kind of epilogue section about the final collapse of everything. Okay. So we get the hero's reflection on this.
Okay. So first scene was the dinner. The hero's reflection is that the government in no way can be trusted to keep conformity from negatively impacting the lives of everyone. And in her banishment, she's going to try to continue to positively impact the city from the outside by smuggling food in.
Okay.
She's
All
going to be a rogue chef, if you will.
A rogue chef. I like that.
She still feels pretty strongly about Elena. So being in banishment is something that was painful there, and her and Emma aren't dissolved. And it's rain season coming up, so our hero Ejora is also feeling like Emma has turned her back on her without really addressing anything. Like Emma's kind of ghosting her on this.
Okay. All right. So we rotate characters again. So I'm the hero. Kirk's the fallen. Christina is the pillar. So our pillar gets to corrupt one more of our traditions.
Okay. So.
Can we take 5?
Sure.
Sure.
Thanks. I kind of
All
have to
right.
use the bathroom.
Okay. So 5-minute break, and then we'll be back to finish things up.
And we're back.
All right. Okay, so we've got one more round of scenes here. So our pillar kicks us off by corrupting one of our traditions.
Okay. So the tradition I would like to corrupt.
We haven't corrupted the government yet.
I guess we should go full circle here. Yeah.
We don't have to, though.
No, I like that. That's easy. Like, at least easy in the sense of it has some tropes that I can play off of, and my sleep deprived brain can do a little less work. Let's see. So I like the idea of corrupting government, and right now, so we've had a lot of like really kind of sweeping changes to our society in the changing of the naming of children and this like soylent-ish, whatever, for lack of a better word, movement towards like sort of streamlining society. And this is all brought on by Jalissa. Crap. I'm sorry. I'm like on a bed and I use a Surface because I'm a poor grad student and can't afford an actual laptop. So camera issues. Okay. So Jalissa has like introduced these sweeping changes, but now like there's been some backroom dealing, and the next turn of the wheel, the next like little wedge and spoke is like really dedicated to like keeping their iron grip on society, is maybe starting to think, this is a good place for the wheel to stop turning. So they have suspended the exchange of power, however that works in the society, and they are trying to continue in the spirit of Jalissa by implementing like changes. And so I guess like elections and the like have stopped, and we are moving towards a dictatorship that institutes sameness, or this has this doctrinal absoluteness about it.
Okay. Cool. All right. So for my scene, so Eudora's this outcast now, exiled. So I think.
What does it mean? Where are you exiled to?
So let's see. So we're in the rain season now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think Eudora's been hiding. So the big threat during this season is flooding, and so the main settlement is kind of on a hill to stay away from the flooding. And so I think Eudora's been hiding out in the lowlands down in the valley, where people tend to steer clear of because it can flood very unexpectedly. Let's see. So I think this is a scene. Maybe this is a scene when there is a flood, and so Eudora has been kind of caught off guard a little bit by this flood coming down the valley, and she's had to kind of flee up the hill towards the settlement, along with some other people that lived in kind of the outlying areas that are being threatened by this flood, and she's trying to avoid being noticed and kind of called out as an outcast. So she's got her rain jacket on and like pulled down low over her face, trying to just huddle with the other people escaping the flood, and kind of listen in and see how people are feeling about the new turn of government, without getting noticed or caught.
Oh, so she snuck back in?
So yeah, she snuck back in because of the flooding.
Yeah.
Was it out of some like humanitarian like need, being like, oh, during this time of flood, I will be I will be some sort of angel in the street or something like that.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Why don't we do that? Just because that injects more drama. That she's here not just to escape the flood, but to try to help the flood displaced people, in the hopes of showing maybe that Julissa's conformist government is unable to handle all the problems of the society. Because there's, I assume some sort of relief operation to help out the people that got flooded. But it's got its problems, as such things always do. There are some people that aren't getting the help that they need. And so Eudora's trying to kind of fill in those gaps. So she's going out. She's made some food that is not soylent, and it's it's something fairly modest, so that it doesn't it's not roast pheasant. It's not going to stand out, but it's like
when there's three foods, anything that's not three food is different food, right?
Right. Yeah. So it's maybe it's like some stew or something, but it's not the standard issue.
So where is it?
So this is, I'm envisioning just within the borders of the settlement, and they've set up tents and stuff for everybody that got displaced by the flood. And so she's going around kind of from tent to tent, asking if people are all right, if they need some more food. And she's got like a little hand cart with her that she's got her stuff on.
In the rain?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, with her like raincoat pulled down over her face so that people don't know it's her.
Who else is there?
So I think that Emma might be the most potent one for her to run into, since Emma is kind of part of the Julissa government. So maybe Emma is there handing out aid on behalf of the government. So we've got like two competing aid caravans going along.
The AIDS caravans are like only distributing like Happy Sheep Company, ink,
right?
Soylent and blankets.
Yes.
Yeah. And like Wally and the Big and Large, or whatever the corporate logo is for. Have you seen Wally?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. By and Large or something like that. BNL. But instead it's Happy Sheep Company.
Yep. Yeah. So Eudora's kind of looking over cautiously at Emma as she comes around, and trying to dodge into a different lane of people to try to steer clear of her, but they kind of bump into each other eventually, kind of inevitably. And she's trying to keep her head down, and she's like, sorry, just coming through here. Didn't mean to get in the way.
Eudora, I haven't seen you in weeks. I thought before the rain really started you'd contact me or something. We never did the ceremony. I know that you broke things off with Lena last season, but like I thought we could. Where have you been?
I think Eudora kind of pulls Emma over kind of behind one of the tents. It's like, it's not something to necessarily talk about in public. It's like I got banished.
Banished?
I can't be married to someone in town if I'm banished. They'd banish you too.
What are you wearing? Here, take that off. Take one of these, and Emma takes one of the entirely similar to what she's wearing, and everyone that she's handing stuff out to wearing ponchos off. Put this on. If you keep wearing that, they're gonna know.
Okay, sure, fine. I guess Happy Sheep owns everything now. They've got the rain ponchos. They've got the. I see your cart is Happy Sheep brand.
Yeah. we're taking care of some of the disaster relief here. I don't have to hand it up myself, but it's kind of like a project to see what we're going to need in the upcoming years. Did you hear about how things have changed? It seems like we won't have to do multiple dinners for multiple politicians anymore.
Yeah, I hear Julius is like president for life, kind of. That's
something like that. Yeah, I don't know
yeah.
if it's still called president, but definitely for life. And Happy Sheep has an in for it. I don't know. I mean, the church still wants everyone to be together between seasons. I bet after this season you could still come back as long as you're still there with me, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I got to admit though, this is starting to sound a little creepy. What you've got going on here, like you've got one company that owns everything. You've got, one leader for life. Is that really what we want?
I mean, it's easier, and you're right that there are some problems, but I want you to be a part of it. We're having nutrition problems. We need somebody like you here. If I don't have you in the fold, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
I don't know if I can do that.
This action will have consequences. The consequence of Eudora not helping Emma solidify the place in helping nutrition with Little Sheep's dominance over the food market means that the entire city will effectively starve under having an unbalanced diet.
Okay.
And Happy Sheep is, of course, going to, discover this in their phase 1 clinical trials or whatever, however public health is monitored, and
much too late.
And it's going to be covered up.
Yeah. So yeah, she thought she was sticking to her principles, but it kind of backfired on the community. Yeah, and I think that after Emma kind of makes this, pressure to join up, I think that Eudora is just like, no, I'm sorry, like I gotta go.
Are you at least going to come back and make the bread?
Well, we'll see. We'll see. I gotta go. And she leaves her suit behind and hustles out of the settlement area.
Okay.
So I think that's the scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
So is everybody okay to stick around to finish out this round? I know we've got technically 2 minutes left. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If we're counting like when it started, it's got the little live thing, and it's still less than 3 hours. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yes, I have an 11:15 p.m. meeting that I must attend.
Okay.
Well,
yeah. All right. So our fallen set.
Frame.
Yeah. Our last sort of regular scene that we're going to have here.
I just got to steal the scene as Emma, so I guess I want to work Helen into the last scene.
Okay.
I've got half an idea. My half idea, so I'm inviting you guys to give me suggestions. My half idea is to have the next scene take place at the beginning of Fire, and have it be Helena removed from the caravan because she never remarried.
Okay.
Okay.
But it's only half an idea. Where do you guys think I could take that?
So maybe her like singleness is seen as like sort of an anathema, and
that's the point.
And she becomes an outcast in society, and maybe she like is effectively stripped of her status, whatever she had, her like ordinary personhood, and she lives like as a beggar or something in society. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So if the idea is that like you're literally in exile, then I was thinking that the last scene would actually take place in exile.
Okay.
So like, I guess you could have people who are exiled but still on the inside begging, but I'm not sure how begging would work in this society. Does that make sense?
That's fair. Yeah. Maybe less with the begging. I agree with that.
Like you could have an outsider status in which you don't have the same quality of life as people who are the inside of the status in the remnants of the caravan or whatever. Maybe this is a bad idea.
I mean, I could see a scene if Helena gets just like totally thrown out where she reunites with Eudora, who has also been exiled.
Right. And they decide to like make a
Their
go
own.
of it.
Yeah.
No, I've got a better idea. Okay, I've got this one. The scene is the start of the fire season, and it's back in the fire town, and it's at the remnant of the Three Kettles.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
And Eudora is meeting with Elena in the kitchen because she intends to try to rekindle the relationship after being in exile for half a year.
Okay.
And marriage bread isn't even really a thing anymore. They just use the same sort of meal stuff that they have for their normal meals. But
Marriage Soylent.
Yeah, marriage Soylent, exactly. It's wonderful. But Eudora has the bright idea of bringing the wheat that she managed to obtain from outside of the caravan in her scrounging and scavenging to make marriage bread for Elena.
Okay. I like this.
Okay, yeah.
So it's supposed to mirror their first date.
Okay.
I got it.
So she's in the ruins of the restaurant that has been closed down because there's no need for restaurants anymore now that everybody has Soylent. But has scrounged up the stuff. She's very carefully kneading the marriage bread. And
I want to remind you, the civilization is starving, and Elena is still a member of the civilization.
So I'm starving.
Yeah, you are not well fed.
Okay.
Nutrition is not a priority, and you are not doing great.
So I like have hollow eyes, and I'm just sort of like I wander in and I gaze at the bread. I'm like drawn by the smell of kneading dough, which I was used to from the relationship, and I'm like, that looks so good.
Helena. Oh, Helena, you look like you've been through a lot.
Yeah, you could say that. I see that you let the kitchen fire go a little too long this time, like pointing around to the charred remains of the kitchen.
Yeah, I've got it. I've got it stoked up again. Come here. Sit down.
I need a little help. I've been achy and paining ever since those new government food crackdowns. My body just hasn't felt the same.
Yeah, and I think Eudora like helps her into her chair and helps her sit down and gets her a drink of water, and says, "I'm almost done with this because Helena, I'm making this marriage bread for you."
Really?
Yeah, it's been a rough time in exile, but I was wrong when I cut you off last year. I was feeling a little hemmed in by the society as a whole, and I took it out on you, and I'm sorry, and I hope that you'll forgive me.
I do.
And I think she takes the finished marriage bread loaf out and sets it on the table between them, and gets a knife and cuts a piece for each of them, and they can eat their marriage bread together.
Oh, that's nice. You want anything there?
Yeah, I think that's good.
That's good.
I have a sweet little scene before we describe the ultimate collapse of the society.
Okay.
Yeah. This has been interesting how we had this whole like interpersonal drama thing playing out in the midst of our society collapsing.
This is honestly how social change happens a lot of the time. It doesn't always just happen with firebombs. It happens with what people think is acceptable.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we basically are going to go around and narrate kind of one
Reflection?
vignette or reflection. Right. Yeah. So I think that what happens is that Eudora decides that she can kind of see the inevitable collapse of the society coming, and she's decided that she's too old to fight it anymore, and so she's going to try to just make things as nice as she can for herself and the people that she really cares about.
Like Helena.
Like Helena. Yeah. Okay. So there's our last reflection. Now we get to narrate the
collapse.
The total collapse. Yeah. So starting with starting with the pillar, the most recent pillar, we're going to go around and each person gives a a vignette or a snapshot of something that we see as the Haven finally gives in or collapses because of its fatal flaw here. Okay. So it sounds like Christina will give us the first little snapshot.
Yeah, so I think Helena is physically crippled by prolonged nutritional deficiency and starvation. She's older to begin with and doesn't really isn't as hardy as the rest of the caravan. And one day she's going about her she's going to church, I guess, or whatever their place of worship looks like. And she's hobbling about, she's just skin and bone, and she I'll say that she arrives at church and is like praying or something, and all of a sudden in the midst of this prayer her heart stops and she actually passes away instantly. I'm not sure of the mechanism of that, but she dies. And the parishioners, noticing her passing on in the midst of this worship service, don't necessarily call for help or anything. They just try to take what's useful off of her person. So they, in the end, I'm not saying dismemberment. I know that's a veil, but I mean, the objects.
No, I wasn't thinking you were going in that direction. Yeah.
No. Okay. Yeah. So they just see her rather than as a person. The resources are so scarce now that they just try to sort of redistribute what's on her. So in the end, her last act of giving back to society is not anything related to Helena as a person, but is someone fighting for her happy sheep shirt and, her happy sheep purse, glasses, stuff like that.
Okay.
That's really depressing.
Yeah, there's a game called Downfall.
That is correct.
Kind of the point.
Real fast, is the idea behind collapse supposed to be that it's supposed to be from the hero's perspective? It's like the opposite of the companion's tale, right?
I think it's fine to put in whatever, because the hero would be able to see and hear about all of these things.
Yeah, I guess. But I thought it was the focus, like the way that the scenes are supposed to be hero focused. So I thought the collapse.
So should I redo what I just said then?
I mean, if you want a second scene, I'm fine with it. You don't have to redo it, but if you want to have another shot at it, then I think you could have another shot too.
Well, I'd be cool just saying that the hero saw all of that.
Oh, rough! Did not lift a finger,
or was not able to lift a finger. It could be something the hero wasn't able to stop.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, that's grim. I didn't want to take it that bad. Okay. Do you want to have the next scene, or does it cycle in a certain way?
I'll do next, and then you can do the last one there.
Okay.
So, yeah, so I think that we we kind of see what's happening there, and the reason that Eudora can't lift a finger to stop anything is that so they had tried banishment as a punishment, and that didn't seem to work because she came back from it. And so when the inspector found that Eudora was trying to come back into their society, she was being blamed for the problems that they were, rather than blaming the government for causing this starvation through their mismanagement. Julissa blamed it on subversive elements like Eudora, and so she has been put into sort of a prison cell that was built in the ruins of the Three Kettles restaurant. And we see a scene of the village getting ready to pack up to move, or the community getting ready to pack up to move again at the change of the seasons. And the inspector kind of looks over at where Eudora is imprisoned, and like you can see her kind of think about, should we bring Eudora along? And then she's kind of like, nah. And goes back to finishing the preparations, and Eudora is left behind, imprisoned for her supposed crimes.
Like after the migration?
Yeah.
Okay, so is that a kill scene?
Yeah, unless you want to do something else before.
No, it would be fun to do a kill scene early and then do a post kill scene, because that's one of the options, right?
Yeah.
How does it work, post kill scene?
It's, you just describe
Use your vignette to describe how their death worsens the Haven's downfall. Okay, I found it.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm on collapse, but it's a couple. Slightly larger than rotate characters. So we don't have Eudora to follow anymore. Emma goes to a festival in the remnants of what used to be Raintown, in that rain season. And they call it the Rat Festival because it's the festival that happens when the rain washes all of the rats out of the ruins, and they're so much easier to catch that everyone can eat their fill. And there are some kids named Jim and Gaz and Kef, and Emma is eating a rat with them, because everyone's allowed to have rats during the Rat Festival, and they all tell a story about how it used to be that you would get together with someone for the whole season, and you could have bread, and then Kef turns on Jim and says, "That's just a lie. Things were never like that."
Okay.
Wow. Good shit.
All right. So we have our grim ending for our community here. So yeah, so that's Downfall. So I'm gonna go ahead and end our broadcast here.
Okay.